This segment is sponsored by the Dentistry Academy, led by Dr. Hisham Sherigan and his team. Dentistry Academy is providing free, yes, free online world-class education to young and experienced dentists with their 2020 Dental Fast Track. Be sure to visit dtacademy.ca to register for upcoming lectures. If you've missed it, they've got you covered on their YouTube channel. Just search Dentistry Academy. That's DENTISTREE Academy.
Welcome to the Mastering Dentistry series on the Noobie Dentist Podcast. This podcast will focus on providing value to dentists who are striving to learn, evolve, and master their trade. Your hosts are Dr. Ziad Hamad and Dr. Ricky Hamami. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mastering Dentistry series with the Noobie Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Hamami, and I'm excited to be hosting a jam-packed episode with an outstanding clinician, business owner, entrepreneur, and all-around great person. I had the privilege of meeting this individual by sheer coincidence about a year ago. While we were working on our online educational platform, Dentistry, my friend Ziad and I came across someone who was also releasing an online educational platform, but for endodontics. So within a few messages on Instagram, we hopped on a call and talked for a few hours about our journeys and immediately developed a friendship. My friend graduated from the University of Maryland Dental School in 2001 and attained his certificate in endodontics in 2003. He is a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Endodontics at the University of Illinois, Chicago. He served as president of various endodontic associations. He was honored by the Seattle Study Club as a top 10 young dental educator in America in 2017. He also owns and operates a thriving private practice limited to endodontics in Niles, Illinois. And finally, he's the founder of the online educational platform, Access Endo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce my friend, Dr. Brett Gilbert.
Wow, Ricky, thank you so much, man. I'm so excited to be here. And it's just so amazing to make these relationships, really special relationships, maybe even in some ways more special when you haven't met in physical person and you allow yourself and, your dreams and your personality to come through. And then I've had a great opportunity to have some of these IG meetups and things where I meet the people for the first time. And it's amazing how close you feel. So I really look forward to that first high five and bear hug with you, my man.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. Where is it going to be? In Canada or the US, or maybe
wherever it is, it's going to be a good time.
Exactly. I agree. So I think there's so much to talk about because you're not only passionate about dentistry and endo, but you also have this beautiful passion for life outside of dentistry. And I think that's what our podcast is going to focus on this episode, because I know in these tough times with COVID, this would provide a lot of insight for listeners. And I know you're such a positive person. So that's what I want to focus this episode on. Hopefully we'll have one more about clinical endodontics in the future.
By all means, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So let's take it back. You're a young guy, maybe a couple of years back when you were thinking about going into dentistry. What made you get into dentistry? And I guess we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so dentistry has been part of me from the day I was born. My dad is a dentist, and I don't know if it was through brainwashing or osmosis, but I literally can never remember really truly considering any other career. Like I was always going to be a dentist, probably partially because I wanted to be like my dad, but he would always say things like, look, I'm home a lot. I make my own hours. I don't have to essentially answer to a boss. I get to help people. I spent a lot of time in his office as a child and just really always felt at home with dentistry. So that was almost never something I wavered from. So I had a very strong influence as an early, your dad is like, a huge part of your life. And so being a dentist was always my plan. It's crazy to look back now and realize that probably as young as like 7 years old, like if you'd asked me what I was going to be, I would say I'm going to be a dentist. So it's really ingrained in me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So was he a general dentist or?
Yeah, general dentist. And that was always, the plan. I would become a general dentist. I would join my dad's practice in Baltimore, Maryland, which is where I'm originally from.
Mhm.
And that plan felt right for a long time until it didn't. And then fortunately, my dad was very open to the idea of me treading out my own path and supported me in every way with that. And ultimately, endodontics just sort of appeared. It was almost like, well, after maybe 3 months of dental school, Ricky, I would be in the labs and I would just think to myself, I would rather be an expert in one thing than try to do everything. And my dad was the opposite. He would much rather do everything than be sort of cornered into one thing. So we all have our personalities. So we went and he sent me off to all his specialist friends, and I went around and I went to ortho, and I knew right away that wasn't for me. I went to oral surgery. It just seemed like a lot of school, more than I was willing to put in. I went to perio. I had actually my girlfriend that I had in high school, and her dad was a very prominent periodontist in Baltimore. And he was always like, Brett, perio, you got to go into perio. And I'm like, yeah, but I really like endo. He's like, what do you want to waste your life on endo for? It's mindless. It's this, it's that. And he did it with love, with a lot of love. But ultimately he's like, all right, we'll do endo and then do perio. And I was like, when I went, Ricky, to visit the endodontist after going through all of these visits, and he was working through a microscope, a guy named Dr. Barry Jurist, he's no longer with us. Awesome endodontist, awesome guy. I was in that room for about 5 minutes watching him through the microscope, exchanging files and rotaries, and he was showing me all these videos he had through the microscope of doing surgeries. And literally, I remember it to this day. It was probably like 1998. I felt like I got struck by lightning. I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I immediately switched gears because, you go into dental school thinking you're going to join your dad's practice. Your motivation level is different than when you're like, okay, I want to try to compete with, other doctors that are, looking at one of the most, sought after specialties in endodontics. I got to really get myself in gear. And so I took my student, capacities to a whole new level. And it was all with this goal of becoming an endodontist. And man, so grateful I did that.
That's awesome. That's one thing I've noticed about endo is even in school, the one specialty that our teachers loved, like all the endodontists loved their job. They never complained. Like we had prosthodontists that would say, don't go into pros and, all the other specialties. I think endo and maybe even maxillofacial surgery, I think those are the two that I haven't really heard anyone really complain about becoming them. Well, I think it's great because it shows through. And I think with my education, endodontics was probably the best taught in our school.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I haven't done as many recently, but last year I did a number of, I called it 3 questions with Dr. Brett Gilbert, and I would invite colleagues from around the world for 3 questions. And the first question was just what you asked me, which was, what was your inspiration to go into dentistry? And then ultimately, why endo? And surprisingly, and this was across the board, different ages, different parts of the world, it was that same thing. It was that when I was in dental school, the endodontists just seemed the most passionate about what they did. They just seemed to love it. And it really is, for me, like, especially right now, Ricky, what we've just been through with, and obviously we're still going through it, but still the first couple weeks of COVID, right? The shock, the awe, the realization that I still had to get in my car, drive to my office and treat patients. It was very, very scary, but the endodontists really stood tall. So it's a passion. It's a community of, like, if you get into a conversation about endo with an endodontist, it could go on for like 6 hours. There's just so much fuel and love there. And to see endodontists, and there was an article that was released, I believe this week, that talked about sort of a recognition of how important the role of the endodontist is in our overall society because of the pain. And because that's what we do. So not that I was not already like beyond proud to be a part of endodontics, but after this experience, I'm in awe of my colleagues and our training and how important it is that we're available when patients are in pain. And I think it also speaks to why I'm so passionate about educating general dentists on endo as well, because it can't just be the endodontist that can serve this role. Dentists have to push themselves into getting more training so that they also can adequately, competently, and most important, confidently provide these types of treatments when patients are in pain.
I agree. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, everyone's done such a good job so far with helping out with COVID and stuff. So hats off to you and everyone out there as well that's helping out. Ask your thoughts on how residency was and how was it different from dental school? And I know a lot of people ask that kind of question. Did you enjoy it? I know some people go through a tough time going through residency, and I've talked to others where they've thoroughly enjoyed it. So how was that?
First of all, it's a great question, and I've never been asked that question ever.
Really?
And I really appreciate it. It just brought me back. Residency was hard for me, really hard for me. It was a tough time, and I'll tell you why. So I was able to get into residency, endodontic residency, right out of dental school. So I went same school, University of Maryland. I somehow by grace of Dr. Tom Dumshaw, an amazing man who's also passed and who I really do consider my endodontic mentor, he accepted me into the program right out of school, which was not commonplace at that time, but he obviously saw something in me and it was great. And so, you know, when you want to be great, when you want to do your very best and you're not really fully trained yet, it can be very difficult. And I found that to be the case. So I was very hard on myself. I think this is very common at that stage of our lives. I've obviously continued to work on myself a lot and continue to do so right up to this very moment. I'll always continue to better myself. But at that time, it was really hard because you feel like you need to put up a strong face, like you have it under control, but deep down inside, you don't. You know, you're not confident. You make a mistake, or, you know, let's say you perforate a tooth or something goes wrong. And I mean, you beat yourself down. I won't even say beat yourself up. I'll say beat yourself down. And I did a lot of that. And it happened to be that the way that my class shook out, I was in a residency class of 5. 3 of the 5 had been in private practice for almost 10 years and had decided to come back. So those dentists were very experienced. So now I'm in the room with more experienced dentists while I'm really green. You know, I did about 15 cases in dental school. I was a clerk. So that actually allowed me to probably do about 10 or 12 more cases than most dental students at my school. And I just was green. And so residency was a challenge. Now, it's a beautiful time because you're just immersed in literature and learning and science and practice, and it was an amazing experience for me, but it was hard because it's one of those where it's like, you think about like being a caterpillar and like, you know, going into a cocoon and coming out a butterfly, you know, that's ready to fly and practice endodontics. And so that transformation is incredible when you think about it. But still, when I got into private practice, also, I found it to be very hard. I was very critical of myself. And instead of learning from my mistakes, I would bury myself under my mistakes. And that's why, truthfully, Ricky, I think mentorship is so important. And I think that what I told myself in those days, those early days of practice, when I didn't really have anyone sort of putting their arm around me and being like, Brett, you know, look, it's learning. Like you gotta learn. You gotta go through these, you know, these times. You have to take what you can that's positive out of each thing, because that's what's going to make you great. And because I didn't have that, I kind of mentally committed myself to being that for others going forward. That young doctors were all trained, you know, Ricky, I mean, we're trained as perfectionists in school, and perfection is impossible. So you're being trained to live up to an expectation that's unattainable. And so it's a constant self-judgment. It's constant, you know, just criticism. And it's the wrong approach. So we want to focus on excellence, right? I practice excellence. Excellence is accepted. Perfection is, of course, the goal. And occasionally you might hit it, right? Like when you hit a great golf shot, or I see some hockey sticks back there. So when you slip one right in the corner over the goalie's shoulder. But in reality, we have to be focused on excellence. And so to get back to your question, as a man so I was 28 when I finished, so 26, 27, 28. I was just trying to figure out like what was life going to be like for me? And that's the other. So that was the endo part, right, that you asked me about. But I want to step back to recognizing where I was in my life. You know, 26, you know, I was, you know, always wanted to get married. I wanted to have a family. I was born and raised in Baltimore, but I always wanted to live in Chicago. It was like I was just the same way I wanted to be a dentist once I was about maybe 20 years old, I wanted to live in Chicago. My sister had lived here for a while. And so I just was sort of in a hurry to get started with my life. And I felt like residency was sort of an in-between step between school and real life. So to answer your question, overall, I look back in those days in a very positive way because I learned a lot about myself. I had to dig deep. I had to really, teach myself how to perform. But in general, I would say a residency is what it should be, right? You get in there and you got to work really, really hard so that when you leave, you're not necessarily an expert yet, but now you have the foundation to, with your own self-teaching and self-study and continuing education, that you can now grow into a true expert. And it takes a while, but man, it's totally worth it. I mean, it's an amazing thing.
That's amazing. And I love that, how you call it excellence and not perfection, because I haven't worked for much, but the first month I was working, there's a lot of things things do go wrong and things don't always go as you anticipate. And exactly what you said, we've just been trained as perfectionists our whole life. You always try to give 100%, but sometimes things are out of your control and things do happen. So I love that I'm going to remember that forever. Excellence, not perfection. That's a good one.
Yeah. So the true quote, and I saw it in a lecture, it is that perfection is the goal, but excellence is tolerated.
Yeah.
That's sort of the quote that I take that from.
I like that. I like that a lot. I also like that you mentioned how it was kind of a middle step into your life and you had all these other things and how you wanted to get married and whatnot. So I don't know if specialty is what it was before. The other thing is that tuition for dental school is so expensive. Residencies aren't cheap either. If you were graduating, if you graduated last year, would you have still done an endodontic residency, do you think?
Yeah, I would. And I think it goes back to that personality. I mean, look, there are a lot of people on the face of the earth. There are plenty of people for each dentist. And so although it is very competitive in different parts of the world, especially in the more metro areas, there's a lot more competition. And I mean, the cost of education is a whole nother discussion. I'm happy to dive into that with you too. But I think it's important that some, super GPs, those, like I was saying, like my dad, where you really you want to grab a hold of everything. You're an excellent dentist. You've got it all together and you can actually perform on a high level in a lot of different areas. I think that's awesome. I don't think that that's real prevalent. I think that those doctors are pretty rare species. So I think in general, specialization is become a bigger part. Like for instance, when my dad was coming out, let's say he graduated late 60s, into the 70s and 80s. I mean, really the difference between an endodontist and a general dentist, there wasn't a huge distinction other than probably a better knowledge base and a better experiential base. But as far as technology, I mean, everyone was spinning hand files and using gutta percha and sealer. There wasn't microscopes, there weren't CBCTs, there weren't any of these special technologies. And so I think now as technology continues to grow, you see that there is a huge separation between what a GP can accomplish in endodontics and what a specialist can accomplish. And so, that's really the big thing. So I think it's all really comes down to case selection, Ricky. I mean, the reality is there's so many cases to be done. And the way the statistics almost always fall out year in, year out is that only about 25% of endodontic cases are performed by specialists. So that leaves 75% that need to be done appropriately so that patients can save their teeth. So there's room for everyone. And that's why, again, I'll go back to it. Why I'm very, very passionate about teaching general dentists how to do endo better, because 75% of cases need to be done well. The 25% by specialists, I feel great about. Mm-hmm. It's the 75% that, we don't want to lose teeth to implants just because the skills weren't there, just because it was the easy way out, right? It's a definitive thing when you pull a tooth out. There's no record of the mistake. It's gone. There's no record of the broken file, the perforation through the furcation, all of the things, the short fills, right? You just pull it out because you don't want it to be there anymore. Yeah. And that's not a service to the patient. So to answer your question, which is, is specialization still relevant? I think, in all honesty, it's more relevant today than ever before. Yeah.
And that's awesome. You have the right mindset, and that's the key to it. Even even with the finances and with the high these days, I definitely think it's still worth it. If you're doing something that you're very passionate about, the money is like a fourth or fifth thing. It'll come eventually if you're passionate about it, I think. So let's kind of switch it around. Let's talk a little bit about social media. It's been amazing. I've got to meet awesome people, and I was lucky enough to meet you. I think it was right before exams, and I saw your platform, and I was like, we got to get in touch. And so yeah, that's how we got in touch, which was awesome. We hopped on a call, and I think we talked for at least an hour. We didn't even know each other, so it was awesome sharing our journeys, because you obviously have a platform called Access Endo, which we'll get into after as well. So talk to me a little bit about social media and how that started for you.
Oh man, it's mind blowing. And yeah, and I'm so grateful that you reached out too. I mean, that was really, I've done that to others, where you feel drawn to someone and you just feel a connection and you just reach out, and then it turns into this great friendship. And so you did the exact same thing for me, and I'm so grateful that you did. So social media for me was honestly, was an exercise in repulsion for most of my life until late 2017. I mean, I consciously, along with my wife, never joined Facebook. I was never on Instagram. I didn't do anything. I honestly had joined Twitter in maybe 2012 to feed my information crave. But the reality is that I actually was pretty turned off by social media. I just didn't see why I needed to open myself up. And that was probably very consistent with who I was in my life at that point in time, sort of a protective layer, a lot of them. And so late 2017, I had a new associate that started with me, and she encouraged me. She's like, Brett, you really should jump on. It's time. You could share cases. You could talk in videos. You could do whatever you want. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I can hold out. I mean, Ricky, this is less than 3 years ago. This was,
yeah, that's amazing.
And I just was like, you know what? All right, I'll do it. I got on Facebook, I got on Instagram, I started to get active, and then instantly I started to feel the power of it, and I started to use it as a really awesome creative outlet. The first thing I did was I started to do these videos called the Endo Files. So that was sort of my big breakout, because I had thought about doing videos on YouTube, little tidbits here and there, tips and tricks. And, just like many that are listening to this, you could appreciate, I just had the idea, but I didn't have the follow through. It was fear. It was, you think of a million different reasons you can talk. Mel Robbins, she has a great book called The 5-Second Rule. Highly recommend it. And
very good book.
She says you could talk yourself out of anything in 5 seconds, And so I had a habit of doing that for a lot of good ideas, but this time I didn't. I actually followed through. And I remember when I pressed send and sent the first one out and got a response from a colleague, actually, that you know very well, Gary Glassman, big Toronto figure, a big figure wherever he is. And he reached out. He's like, hey, Brett, this is a great idea. I love this. And I was like, it was literally 30 seconds after I pressed send. And so when you start to get some validation and people start to dig it, it's really exciting, because as dentists, although we can be creative in certain ways clinically, this is a really cool creative outlet. And if you like to teach, then it gives you a lot of opportunity. So I just kept going with it, and I started to, build some more following, and I started to get more creative, doing the interviews. It's just been that professional outlet for me. Now, what I could never have dreamed is the relationships that I've built. I mean, just truly special relationships with special people. I'm almost like I've rebuilt my tribe, around the social media contacts. And so incredibly powerful. I think it's an amazing way to bring the world together, whether it's, within a friend group, whether it's within a professional group, whether it's in a special interest group, just basically you are in touch in a very intimate way with so many human beings. And I'm truly in awe of social media. I mean, I know there's some negatives, but I don't look at those. I look at the incredible power of it to bring people together.
I agree. And you're just a natural. If you guys haven't followed Dr. Brett Gilbert, what's your handle exactly? It's Dr. Brett Gilbert, right?
Yeah, just Dr. Brett Gilbert easy. Across all the media. I'm just Dr. Brett Gilbert.
Yeah, if you haven't seen him, he's an absolute natural. He does some awesome stories and lives, and you always have your smile on, and you just have the voice for it too. So I think maybe you could have done something other than endo. Maybe you became an announcer or some sort of lecturer or something.
I'm still shooting, man. I'm not complacent at all. So, but To be honest, I do envision some career in media as part of my life going forward, so I'm open to it. And yeah, I just feel like I would really enjoy that because I really enjoy sharing with people. And, however my means of communication is, it's effective. And most importantly, I feel like it's important when you can be yourself, like all of us, all humans, when you can just be whoever that is, literally whatever and whoever that is that you genuinely are. When you are that, it instantly, even subliminally, even through an energy wave, it gives others permission to also be themselves. And it's something that it's like an innate ability to sense that, yes, this is an authentic human being in front of me. And because of that, I can be myself. So it's the simplest thing. But I think that, with a lot of how I've been growing, and I work really hard just literally every day to just continue to grow and get better and learn more and figure out this crazy thing called being a human. And the more I do it, the more I feel that I am effective with other people. And so I want to continue to give other people permission to just be you, just be you. And I sense that about you, Ricky. I know you're just breaking into your career. And I know that, that transition from school, and then you're also an entrepreneur, and you guys have done an amazing job with your platform, Dentist to Be. And now you're a clinician, and then now you've been put on the shelf with COVID to some degree. But I do sense from you also just a very authentic, presence and being. And so I acknowledge you for that as well, man.
I appreciate it. And another question with regards to social media, do you have like a clear vision, or are you kind of just having fun with it? Because I know for me personally, it started out kind of in dental school, and I was just posting dental things. And I know some clinicians will kind of cater it towards patients, and some will cater it towards colleagues. I feel like you're more on the colleague side, and you're going that way. But what's your vision for it? Or are you just kind of enjoying it right now?
No, I'm actually in the process of cultivating what I do, because I find that I have like a wide range of audience because of some of the things I talk about. And so because I talk a good bit about mindset and, just these basic things to help people sort of have like some light bulb moments about life, about, don't forget to breathe, how to manage stress. I've talked about suicide. I've branched out of dentistry per se, but then I also want to always come back and keep some clinical in there. And I want to promote Access Endo because I feel like it's an awesome service, and it's a business that I'm growing. And then I also want to include some of my personal stuff and having stuff with my kids. And I love to do service, so I like to include that. So I sort of just do it on feel, but I try to put little bits in each bucket, over the course of a week or a couple of weeks. But in general, I really just go off my intuition. Like I'll wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I have this idea for a video. And fortunately, I'm able to produce it. Like I can turn the camera on and just do it. And that's it. Like I don't have to do it like 5 or 6 times. So that makes it easy to feel confident that I can create content as I need it. So, but I would like to learn more about cultivating more of a strategy and, making it maybe a little more automated so that it is a burden in a lot of ways, from a time perspective. Sometimes it can be very stressful. I like to be really consistent with it. So if I were to miss a day, I wouldn't like that. So trying to create content every single day, it's a lot. And so, but in general, I find it to be, as I mentioned before, an incredible creative outlet, and some things stick and some things don't. And that's okay. It's a lot of experimentation.
Exactly. And I think that's what people appreciate. When I appreciate is when you look at social media, people are posting these amazing cases, and you kind of feel like you're not doing enough. And I know we were supposed to do this podcast last week, but you just felt like you weren't in the right mindset, and you wanted to give it your all because you had other things. You have a family, you do all these things that we mentioned, which I don't know how you find the time to do it, is amazing. But I just appreciated that authenticity of just being real and saying, you know what, let's do it next week because there's so much going on, and I'd rather give it 100%. So
yeah, the highlight reel of social media is a big one. And I think it's important that everyone realize you're going to be more effective just being yourself. But getting back to last week, so I think we should talk about that. You do find yourself, especially myself, I have gotten into a habit where I like want to maximize the most out of every day of my life. I really am conscious of the finite sort of time of life. And I'm less scared of it now, Ricky, than I used to be. I think I used to feel more scared, like, afraid of dying and all of these things. But now I look at it differently. I just sort of like grab a hold of each day's opportunity and how I can connect with people. But a lot of times that means that I will try to put so much in a day. And some days that works. It happened to be that last week I went through a sort of a transformation in a way. I was taking on, I had the weekend before, I did this 2-day virtual conference. It was really cool. It was like they had a lot of energy healers. There's like a lot of different topics on yoga, on a lot of different things. I was asked to speak on mindset. And so coming out of that, I had like this, I started to learn a little bit more about energy and about Reiki healing. And I was like really like feeling it. Like I was spiritually felt like I was coming out a little bit more. And then I had a real hard, long week of patience. And then I had committed to a yoga retreat virtually over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I said, oh, I've got like an hour on Saturday. Let's do it, Ricky. And come Friday night, I was, after we started the yoga retreat, and they asked us to take a vow of 100% honesty for the weekend. So that's what happened. So I'm sitting in the yoga thing. He's like, I really want you to take a vow. And this, by the way, was hosted by the Dental Yogis. I don't know if you guys follow them, but please do. They're like family to me. They are incredible, incredible inspirations in dentistry. And so after the thing, I said 100% honesty. I said, you know what? If I'm being 100% honest, I don't think I have a podcast in me after tomorrow morning's yoga session. So I texted Ricky and I was like, hey man, I'm just going to be straight up with you. Like, I'm just beat. And I just don't know if I have it. And I'm so glad I did that, because I was so excited about getting to you this morning. It's like, sometimes you just have to trust your intuition. And I appreciate that you respected that. I knew you would. It obviously can be disappointing when you have an expectation, it's not met, but I think it's good advice for myself and for everyone to say, you know what, if you're just honest and authentic, it comes off in such a beautiful way. And then maybe Ricky, then down the road, you'd have a similar situation and be like, well, you know what, I feel like I don't know if I can do this tomorrow. And it would again give you permission to say, hey, it's no big deal. Brett did it that one time and I appreciated it. I'm going to do the same. So it's really just about, if we just stop playing games and just be authentic and genuine, everyone in the world would be a much, much better place.
We're all human at the end of the day. No one's a superhuman or anything. All right, let's talk about Access Endo. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but Dr. Brett Gilbert, he's created this amazing platform to educate people on endodontics. I think it caters to pretty much anyone of any experience. You could find it useful as a dental student. You could find being 20 years out as a general practitioner. I've got the privilege to actually use it, and it's been amazing. You get your CE credits, but you also get all these. I think what is amazing about it is because it takes you through step by step the process of endodontics. So you start with the basic, and then you slowly get into these live cases that you perform. And so I think it was such a good platform, and it's the cool thing is it's not just limited to endodontics. You have a lot about well-being and mindset and yoga, and so I think you should definitely check it out. So what's the website is
accessendo.org.
Okay, and we'll put it on the show notes as well, so that people can have a link to click on. Let's talk a little more about that. When did you start this? What was the vision? What's your goal, I guess, with it?
Wow, man. I just get a big smile on my face because I had the idea in 2012. I had lectured in Dubai, and it was a incredible opportunity. I was just less than 5 years into my lecturing career, and I had a chance to go to Dubai, and I did a couple of full day courses. I did a big lecture at the main exhibit, and at the main conference. It was called the AEEDC. But after my full day lecture, where I had maybe 200 dentists from around the world, Europe, North Africa, that's where they draw into Dubai. And after the lecture, the whole day we were there, I had about 50 doctors in a line to ask me questions. And I said, well, why doesn't everyone just come around in a circle? And then I'm sure everyone's questions will resonate with everyone. And we stood there for a couple more hours. And I always tell the story because I was wearing a gray suit. And when I got back to my hotel room, I literally I had sweat through my entire suit because I had given it everything I had. And I told my wife, I'm like, these doctors are so thirsty for endo knowledge. Really, there needs to be education online so that people can access it like whenever and wherever they want. Well, that was 2012. So it's a pretty great idea, but I didn't do it. You know, I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. Who will listen to it? You know, you start to talk yourself out of it. And as I started to embark on my own personal growth journey, which is a whole nother story, but that started just in late 2018, I started to have the idea that, you know what, this is really my vision. Like, I want to create an online, on-demand, high-quality education resource because it's not possible for all dentists around the world to go to these big meetings. They're very expensive. There's travel. It's just not realistic. And in other ways, some doctors don't like going to meetings. They're more, you know, would rather be in their own environment. But yet, every doctor needs the education. And I started to think more globally about people in general. Like, I think about a dad with like 2 daughters like I have, and the daughter has a terrible infection in her tooth. And now because of that, the only option is to remove the tooth because in that country or culture, that's all they can do. And I think, well, what if we could educate the local dentist to actually perform some root canal treatment based on an online platform? And so the mission really is to help people. So then the mission becomes to do that, I have to help the doctors. And then I started to, as I was embarking on my personal growth, which was sort of the impetus to sort of get out of just the idea phase and get into the creation phase, I was learning myself so much about personal growth and development, and it was helping me grow, and it was helping me heal, and it was helping me to really stand in my own power, that I thought, well, wait a minute, this isn't just about endodontics. It's about creating an opportunity for doctors to become the best person they can be. Because if you're the best person you can be, you're going to be a much better doctor. So that's where Access Endo was born. It's in-depth, the best teaching I can give in endodontics, and then also collaborating with experts from around the world, not only on endo, but coaches on personal growth, on self-love, on self-care, on how to eat right, on how to exercise right. I've got so many different opportunities for a doctor to really become a stronger, more well-sustained type of individual that's going to create better relationships, first and foremost with yourself, then with your immediate family and spouse and kids, and then that reaches into your team, into your patients. And what you want to be as a dentist is that, look, we all clinically can get the job done. But what you really want is you want people to leave your office and just feel great, like just that they were in your energy space. And I think that Access Endo does that. The other side of it was, would I be able to offer CE? And initially, Ricky, like when you joined even, I didn't have the CE yet, but I applied. That was a whole nother thing. Getting CE as a CE provider is not easy. And I just said, you know what, whatever it takes. And I dug in, and it took a long time, but now I can offer PACE AGD CE credit. And after the next upload, Ricky, I'm going to have like 42 CE credits available on Access Endo. And it's all for just, it's a monthly membership. So if you join for a month and you're diligent, you could get all 42 CE credits in a month. Wow. And that's it. But we're adding courses all the time, bringing in incredible experts from around the world. And to me, it's part service project. It's part business and entrepreneurship. But in general, for me, it's like the embodiment of a dream that I literally got out of my head and created. And it changed me forever, having been able to actually pull it off.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that's huge. I think, I don't know how you've done it by yourself, but just, taking out all the financial aspect out of it and all that, just creating a platform for someone that you're very passionate about is such a rewarding feeling. It's such a gratifying experience because it doesn't matter how successful it is, you've put in this much work. And I salute you for doing it alone, because when we did it in dental school for our platform, I think we really relied on each other. Just sometimes, some days you just wake up and you don't feel like doing, or you feel like you hit a roadblock and you're like, why am I doing this? I should be focusing on school or work or whatever it may be. But I think just pushing through and actually committing to something is the best feeling ever. And finally releasing that product and it was hilarious because we literally released it on within the same week, I think, our platforms. It was such a coincidence. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I think also that was why when we first spoke, we were so drawn to one another because we had literally just gone through that whole process. And, you and Zayad being able to keep each other accountable, I'm sure was helpful, but I was blown away that you could accomplish that while in dental school, so that's a whole nother layer and element to it. It was so impressive, but there was a lot of synchronicity between our two sites. And that's why it's been so great to partner with your site. And I think what you guys have done is amazing. And I know that, you've asked me for some cases over time, and that's something I'd like to continue to contribute to. But yeah, to create something like this is truly an achievement for the lifetime, that you could actually do. And like you said, whether it's successful in whatever ways you've dreamed is a whole nother thing. To me, the day I launched it was such a personal victory. And it also felt like a victory in service for others that I just will simply never forget it. And it's now a different phase, right? As you grow the site and you continue to improve it and try to make it better. And the quarantine time has been really great for that because I've been able to put so much heart and soul back into it and create a lot more content. I've probably added like 12 or 15 hours of content over this quarantine period. And so that also is a great feeling. So it's sort of like wherever you are, like whatever life brings you, whatever you're doing, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to find ways to grow and be productive. And so that was sort of the gift of it giving back to me. Access Endo was when this all happened and I knew my hours were going to be reduced and I wasn't going to be seeing as many patients, but I knew now I had an opportunity to breathe more life into Access Endo. And by doing that, it put life into me, right? It goes both ways. Yeah.
I agree. So I guess for anyone listening out there, if you have an idea or if there's something that you've always wanted to do, I think we're both resonating that you should definitely just go and do it. What's the worst that can happen? You give up after a couple of days or whatnot, but at least you gave it a shot, and you'd be surprised at how far you're willing to take yourself about something you're passionate about. Yeah. So I salute you for that. And I, again, recommend the product. It's the platform. It's amazing, especially as a new dentist, but I think it can help anyone of any experience. The videos are so well laid out. They're super professional. Like you have this amazing cinematography and the content is amazing. Some of the CE that you watch are like an hour or two, but most of them are short. So you can kind of stop at one place and hop back on the next day or something. So that's what I really like about it. And yeah, we've partnered up, and so we have a discount code on our website, but you still have the student special?
Yeah. So I created more of like what I call a student bundle. Yeah. So I've taken the really foundational pieces of the endo instruction. Like I said, there's over 40 hours of content. So this is probably pared down more to like 10 hours. And so whereas normally if you're a dentist and you want to earn CE, then it's a $79 a month membership. But for students, it's $10 a month. Now you don't get CE, but you don't need CE. And it's been a big hit so far. I've been really thrilled. I've got a great group of students from around the world. And so if you're a student, you can jump on there for $10 a month and really sort of enrich the endo education that you're getting. I know there's a lot of variance in the quality and the amount of endo that you get in dental school, but whatever you're getting wherever you are, it's not enough. It's not even close. Yeah. And so this is a great way to sort of enrich that. And the other thing I would say based on what you were saying, Ricky, is, about people having good ideas. I did a lot of personal growth and I did some transformation and emotional intelligence training. And they always say, graveyards are full of amazing ideas. So don't let them go. Don't let them go with you. Everyone's always had ideas, but very few have acted on them. And that's what Ricky, and Zayad did. And that's what I did. And if you have an idea, just take one actionable step. That's all it takes. The first actionable step will lead to the second, to the third. Next thing you know, you're launching it and making a new buddy like me and Ricky were able to do.
It's been awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree. Just run with it. I've always had this idea of having like I don't know if you've read about calisthenics. It's body weight training essentially. So they do a lot of training with rings and whatnot. And I just went on a binge a couple days ago on Amazon and bought a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to convert my parents' garage into a little home gym. So if you have an idea, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be a business. It could be just maybe learning an instrument or something. Just go with it, and it can take you a lot of places. So you learn something
Absolutely.
new. You learn something new, and that's one extra thing that you can connect with. It opens up relationships and experiences. So definitely do it, and definitely check out Access Endo. $10 is an amazing deal. That's cheaper than a foot long at Subway. So that's and I always tell students, me and my friends, we always try to get CE outside of school. I know some schools aren't too fond of it, of going outside of the curriculum and learning stuff outside, but you're going to get there eventually. And I think there's so much that you can learn out there. Dental school teaches you pretty much the bare minimum and the basics. That's what it's meant to be, because they can only teach so much in 4 years. So my advice is definitely check out as much CE as you can, and especially as students, because there's so many bundles out there for students. So that's my advice.
And you've lived that, because I remember seeing your post where you had reached out to someone. It was like an implant course or something, and you reached out and they invited you to come out there.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So you're a go-getter, like Rick, you're a leader. And what you're saying to students is important, because as you get out, you'll start to hear dentists have a lot of opinions about dental education. And look, I teach at University of Illinois, Chicago. I mean, dental educators, it's such a beautiful thing, but there are limitations, and there are cultural roadblocks that faculty have, and they have to answer to a lot of people. And so once you step out of the doors, you are fully responsible for your own education. And if that means that you start it before you step out the doors, like Ricky did, that's incredible, because number one, you're going to get some high value education. Probably you're not going to have to pay very much, if anything, for it, because people always appreciate how difficult it is to be a student. So, and you make some great contacts. So I commend you. And it's another example of you going for things. And I think that that's a big part of the human condition, is our reluctance to go for it. Out of fear of failure or rejection or what have you. But man, on the other side of fear is freedom. And when you do something like you did and make that connection, who was the doctor? Let's acknowledge him.
It was Dr. Alex Vipchenko. He's a prominent, pretty much he specializes in implants essentially. And that's what his practice is mostly limited to. He's an awesome fellow. I just reached out to him. I was like, can I come shadow? I'm interested in implants. And he brought me out to his 4-day residency course. And I actually ended up sitting beside the founder and inventor of Straumann BLX and Nobel Biocare, Ophir Fromovich, that was amazing, because I had no clue who he was, and I was just chit-chatting with him and asking him about whether he'd placed implants and whatnot, just to start up a chat. And turns out he's LeBron James of implant dentistry.
See, and all that because you had the wherewithal to just ask, to just try to get some mentorship. And that's something else. We probably could talk a whole nother episode on mentorship, but in life, we are mentors and we are mentees, and we're doing that simultaneously throughout our lives. There are people that are mentors of mine, and then there are people that I mentor. And so the mentorship relationships often require one person reaching out to the other and saying, hey, you seem like someone who could really help me, and I respect you. And sometimes that's such a gift to give to someone who can mentor you back, because mentoring is giving. And giving is a huge part of the human condition. So when you ask someone to mentor you, you're really gifting them the ability for them to give back to you. And then you gift to them by receiving it. That then makes them feel amazing. So the long and short of it is don't be afraid to seek out and ask for mentorship. It's an incredible part of having a successful life.
I agree. And there's not many, people will always say the worst that could happen is someone will say no or just kind of deny you. But honestly, I've reached out to a whole bunch of people, and I've yet to experience that. And even if it does happen, that's probably someone that you don't really want to, I guess, learn from, or they're not passionate about, I guess, mentoring or teaching, which is completely fine. Not everyone is, but our experiences have been awesome. And before I guess the reason why me and Ziad actually started dentistry was because, again, we went to this external CE outside of school, and I think his name was Dr. Simon McDonald. He was the inventor of the V3 matrix ring. And so he was talking about how he kind of went through the process of inventing it. And that was an amazing experience, because that kind of propelled us to say, you know what, why don't we try what our ambition and our vision is. So you meet all these amazing people. Got to meet you, and I know you're going to become famous. So remember us when you're famous.
Yeah, whatever that means. We're all on the journey, but I do know this. I know that, like, what you're describing, having been at that course and having this person who, got over his own hump and invented this thing, and what it did was it inspired you guys. And so my vision is, if I can inspire anyone, that's everything. And if you do something and you inspire one person, that's literally incredible. If it winds up being 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 100 million or 1 billion, even better. So my focus is on, using my life as an example for others. And, I'm 45, Ricky. I just turned 45. And I mean, I've reached a different stage.
You look good.
Oh, thanks, bro. Just in the last couple of years, most of my life was controlled by fear. And a lot of what we're describing of someone not wanting to, pull through and invent something or do something. And I found that fear was holding me back, and probably a lot of people can resonate with that. And so the inspiration for me to give to others is just don't live like that. Don't be fearful. It's not worth it. Life is finite. We don't know how long we have. To live in fear is simply taking away the joy of living. And I've been able to tap into joy. And man, it's the best.
I agree. That's truer words couldn't have been said. That's so true. And I guess that kind of takes us into you're huge on yoga and well-being and mindset. So I guess first off, what's your daily routine? Because we were just talking before this, and you mentioned that you were doing your morning yoga and meditation, and then you got stopped by your daughters for a breakfast. So I don't know how you do all this, but do you have that daily routine, or is it you kind of
Oh yeah. This is so when I first got into personal growth and development, I started to realize that the most successful people in the world are more than happy to share why they're successful or how they did it. And a resonating theme in all of them is a really strong morning routine. That is a common thread between people that have either been, okay successful or massively successful. So I started thinking, well, my morning routine was weak, and so I started to implement a morning routine, and it started with doing yoga. And yoga has been an incredible thing for my body, for my mind. I've been doing it pretty much almost every day since late 2018. And yoga is an incredible practice. There's a reason it's been around, for thousands and thousands of years. So I wake up, I do a breathing technique called Wim Hof. Many of you may have heard of it. It's a person's name.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's an animal.
The Iceman. So I'll do this breathing technique. Then I get out of bed. I make my bed every day, which I didn't used to do. That's something I learned from Lewis Howes, who's an incredible podcaster. He has a podcast called The School of Greatness, which was a big jump off point for my own personal growth. So I make my bed nice and tight. I go downstairs. I'll hop on the treadmill. So one thing is I never look at my phone, my email, my Instagram until my whole morning routine is done. So I wake up on a normal, before COVID, when we had normal patient schedule, I'm up at 5 with leaving the house about 7:15. So I have about a 2-hour period that this is my time. This is devoted to me and my self-care. So I'll do a little warm up on the treadmill. I'll do a little stretching. There's some joint exercises I do to loosen my joints. Then I do yoga. Then I meditate. Then I take a shower, which ends with ice cold. And if you haven't done it, do it. Put your feet in first, then your legs, then your arms, and then get in there, because you literally own the day after taking that. And that's part of the Wim Hof program. Then I journal. I do it just sometimes a little longer, sometimes a short. What am I grateful for today? What is my intention for today? My intention for today when I wrote it before we started this was that I wanted to be present in my energy and like explore how I could expand my spiritual energy. That's what I'm into right now. As I mentioned, I'm learning about Reiki and everything. And then I leave for the day. And that's like a really big commitment in time. But see, when you start your day and you've invested in yourself, you've taken care of yourself, you've had that meditation. I think I left out the meditation. Yoga, then meditation. Meditation can be 5 minutes. It could be a half hour. But it's a reset of your body. It's allowing you to drop out of your head, to feel your body and the energy that's coursing through your body. And so these are the tools, Ricky, that I didn't have for the first 43 years of my life, but for the last 2 have been like a resurrection in life for me. And so although on the outside, when I see old friends, they're like, oh, Brett, you've always been like this. And so maybe outwardly, I was able to project what you see now, but inwardly, I was not projecting that. And that's the big distinction that I want people to know. The yoga, the meditation have allowed me to take my energy and my joy, and instead of just giving it to everyone else, I've been able to give it to myself. And that has been the absolute game changer in my life. And so it all starts with that morning routine. It all starts with, and it doesn't have to look the same for everyone. It can be totally different, but just that you devote this time to yourself and that it does involve some sort of contemplation like meditation.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. Just reading books, and most of the successful people are morning people. You wake up, no one's around, calm, you get to do your own thing, get a good start to the day. Because if you're a night person, usually what you're doing at night is you're snacking or you're watching some TV or kicking back. So waking up in the morning, you just instantly become more productive. And that's something I've tried to do. It's been difficult being a night person, but I'm slowly trying to get into that, and hopefully I can get to where you are. 5 a.m.
Well, once you have babies, brother, it comes easy. Because you realize if you don't get up early in the morning, you don't have a shot at anything that pertains to your own personal welfare. So enjoy the time. But yes, getting up early is huge, and it is a huge shift in someone's life. But that's really when things take off.
I agree, yeah. And yoga has been quite prominent in the dental community. Just looking at social media, you got the dental yogis, who you mentioned, who are awesome. They do stuff online all the time. The yogi dentist, Dr. Bruce Freeman, who's an orthodontist here in Toronto. He's put on a few yoga kind of sessions online during COVID. So that's been awesome. That's kind of gotten me into it as well. So I'm just trying to see what is yoga to you, because I know everyone knows the word yoga, but I guess everyone sees it in a different way. And is it supposed to be seen in that way, or is it something specific, I guess?
Yeah, you're asking great questions, really great questions. So yoga is, to me, in the most basic sense, it's putting your body in a position and then allowing yourself to breathe. And when your body's in the position and you're really breathing, it's doing the motion that the body is meant to do. So it's not a matter of what you look like. It's not a matter of even initially how well you can do a certain pose. It's not a competition. I had the advantage of, out of just really necessity, I learned yoga in my basement, just doing it from YouTube videos. So I think a lot of the barrier to yoga is that when you have to go to a studio and you're worried about what you look like and you're worried that you don't know the moves, that it becomes a barrier. But when you're doing it just alone in your basement, you start really basic. I mean, there's a million videos, there's a million instructors. If you find one that resonates, you just starting out with like basic yoga or yoga for beginners. That's what I did. And then all of a sudden you start to pick up on it. You start to look, even if you do just a couple moves for 5 minutes, you literally get up from it and feel the benefits. Like you realize that you've just hit a programming button in your body that it wanted you to hit. And so my advice to people is just start small, but commit to it and just do it every day for a week. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you won't look back because you will feel amazing. And so like this morning, I got up, I did my routine and I did my yoga. And I was, of course, really excited to meet up with Ricky for this podcast. And then I did my meditation. And then when I come out of that meditation, I just am like, you just have sort of a different sense about you. And the way I would describe it that makes it beneficial is, in my mind, that becomes your baseline for the rest of the day. So when something crazy happens at work, instead of having like this violent reaction out of like, oh, and I can't believe this happened, it's like immediately you slip the other way and you wind up deferring back to your baseline, which was your breathing and your meditation and your calmness. And now all of a sudden you're processing things on a different level. So if for no other reason, I would recommend meditating, because then your baseline for your entire day is from a space of calmness and peace. And now the way that you react, the way that you think about things, the way you problem solve, the way you can contribute to others is on a whole nother level. And that is one of the biggest differences for me from incorporating these practices. And to me, it's a gift. And especially in dentistry, it's so hard. There's so many things that happen in a day that if you're starting from a place of volatility, it's going to be a rough day. If you're starting from a place of calmness and serenity, it makes things a lot more tolerable.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. It kind of just sets a tone for the day. And that's kind of what I've noticed just in the few days that I've done it. It sets you in a different headspace, and it's not just the physical. I know some people try and push it, and some people, you don't have to, because I guess yoga is whatever you want it to be. It puts you in that awesome headspace for the rest of the day. And that's, I think, a huge, huge factor in having a productive day. So yeah, I guess this has been awesome. We've kind of gone on for about an hour. We could go on forever.
I know.
We haven't even dived into endo yet.
I'm a dangerous guest. I'm a dangerous guest because I just keep going. But let's do another one and break into endo or whatever you want. And if you want to break this up into two episodes now, but I've really appreciated the opportunity, man. And I just love getting to know you better. And just, the idea is that I think we need to mentor young dentists because it's a tough road. It's a tough road. It's a great road, but it's a tough one. And so we need to be supporting each other. And I think these podcasts, especially with the focus on, younger dentists and students, is so, so important. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
No, thank you. Well, we'll do a quick Omid, the co-host of Noobie Dentist. He likes to do this a lot, so this is taking it from him, but it's a kind of a rapid fire question period. So we'll do a couple of questions. What's your favorite tooth to treat?
Number 8.
What's I'm trying to think. Is that a central?
1-1. Yeah, okay, 1-1.
Yeah. Nice and easy. That's probably mine too. If you had to specialize in a different specialty, what would it be?
Probably oral surgery.
Oral surgery. Awesome.
I only because it's such. Sorry, that's not rapid fire. Go for it.
Yeah, that's okay. Surgery. That's okay. Favorite sports team?
Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens. Okay, nice. I like that. Dream car. Do you have a dream car or a dream watch or something like that?
Dream car would be probably like a Jaguar convertible.
Love it. That's mine too. Jaguar F-Type.
Really?
That's what I'm gunning for that. That's my gift for myself, I hope, in the future. So it's been awesome. I think people are going to find amazing value in this. We've had such a good talk. I appreciate you coming on. This was my first podcast as host, and you made it a lot easier just because you're such a natural. So it's been awesome. And yeah, I'll take you back on that offer of doing one in the future, and we'll focus maybe more on the clinical aspect of endodontics, and we'll go from there. So hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there, and I guess enjoy some time with the family as well, because I know we've taken a bit of your time.
All good, man. It's great being with you. And if anyone has any questions, reach out to me, and look forward to episode 2, brother.
I'm excited. Thank you so much, Brett.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Mastering Dentistry series on the Noobie Dentist Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and follow us. All relevant links are in the podcast description. See you next time.